So we want to welcome you this evening to our Wellness Wednesday webinar. And tonight we are discussing the topic of Lyme. I became passionate about the topic of Lyme. Oh gosh, it's probably been about 8 years ago now. I personally do not have Lyme disease, but I was connected with a really good friend of mine, Natalie, 8 years ago through a recommendation of a friend. Her friend reached out. She knew that she was having severe issues with Lyme. She was actually bedridden at the time, was on IV feeding, had tried everything, and her health was declining. Lyme has got so many, it's multifaceted in so many ways. And so she was struggling with her health, and her friend suggested that she reached out to me and start on our activation products. And so needless to say, watching her recovery journey with these activation products, they had spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get answers. And about 5 days into taking our Vitality Stack, she called me and was a different person. So it's very exciting to see where Natalie is now. She just gave birth to her second child. In fact, the doctors told her that she would never, ever have kids. So it's a blessing to see what these activation products can do, especially with Lyme disease, and thinking and Gail's going to talk to you about just all of the different things that she experienced and just how these products have radically transformed her life. And with that being said, I want to make a disclaimer that we're not here to treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate disease. We are simply here to educate you on how you can activate the healing power of your own body. I always like to say the body is the miracle. I became passionate about health about 11 years ago when my son suffered a severe vaccine injury, and we've come a long way. And that is because I became in control of our own health. And I wasn't willing just to kind of listen, I think, to what sometimes the traditional medical system tells us to take the meds and mask the symptoms and all those things. I love the medical system. I think it's needed when it is, but I think that when you're dealing with chronic illness, they leave so many people, without answers. So with that being said, we have a very special guest this evening. Gail Beebe is one of my dearest friends. I met Gail because, as my friend Natalie, she was looking for answers for her and her daughter, Patricia, and like so many others, not getting answers anywhere else. So I'm going to read to you Gail's bio. She's one of the smartest people I know. She is passionate about health and wellness and has come a long way because she's had to take control of her own health. So Gail, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that everybody gets to hear your story this evening. But Gail is a Lyme warrior, bringing personal experience of recovering wellness for herself and her daughter, Patricia. She understands the path traveled by many who face the challenges of accurate testing, diagnostics, treatments, debilitating effects of this under-researched epidemic. She has a heart of compassion for anyone facing the devastating implications of Lyme and mycotoxin illness. With a science and engineering background, Gail was originally very skeptical about activation, but quickly understood the tremendous gift and is forever grateful for the science of activation. So with that being said, Gail, thank you for joining us and taking time out on your Wednesday evening. Will you just start by telling us a little bit of your story and how you found these incredible products? And I'm so excited for everyone to hear from you this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenny, for that intro. Thank you for having me here and giving me a chance to share a little bit about our story here. Basically our story goes back to when my daughter was in high school, and she was super busy, super capable, and all of a sudden she just started going down, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. We went to so many different doctors, had so many different lab tests run. Lyme actually is one of those tests that I had asked the doctors to run. And just to give you an idea, like Jenny said, like the testing is not that great. So we actually got a negative test on her, and we lost 6 years of being able to truly help her address the Lyme issue because we had a false negative. So for those of you out there who have somebody that you love who's dealing with this, my heart goes out to you as a caregiver. My heart goes out to the Lyme patient. But we had switched over to a naturopath. We had switched diet. We had done all these different supplements that were supposed to reduce the inflammation, and we still didn't have a diagnosis. And finally, sophomore year of college, she came home on medical leave, just no longer functional, curled up in a ball with headache that hadn't gone away for 6 years, 24/7 a headache, you guys, that only got worse. Her legs were heavy. She had a brain fog. It was just, she was no longer functional. So I got a phone call from my friend Sandra. I was super skeptical, like Jenny said. Really, the only reason I showed up is because I wanted to make sure Sandra didn't get scammed by anybody. I mean, that's just where my head was. I thought I knew a lot that I could share with her about natural remedies. And I just started hitting in the presentation with so many questions. And every time the question was answered, it was Carrie, by the way, who did the meeting. And she was so generous with her patience and answering the questions. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something here and I should check into it a little bit more. And to make a long story a little bit shorter, I finally decided, you know what? It's not going to hurt. I might as well try it. And I guinea pigged myself. I didn't give it to my daughter because she was already on so many things. And all of a sudden I was like totally cleaning out all the, the spare bedroom, the garage. And I just had so much more focus and energy that I decided to share it with all of my friends who were approaching 60, right? So decided to have a home meeting. And my daughter, who had been hearing me talk about something on the phone to all my friends, comes down. Now this is the young lady who could barely come down and have dinner with us. She was so fatigued and she hurt so bad. But she came down in her jammies and she curled up in a ball with her soft blanket and she listened. And at the end of the conversation, she was like, why am I not on this? And I felt about this small. And she's like, give it to me now. So she started that day. And I'm not kidding you guys, within 2 weeks, probably less than 2 weeks, she walked into the kitchen and she said, you know what, I think I'm going to do yoga teacher training this summer. And our chins just hit the floor. And we're like, okay, go for it. And it's just gotten better and better since then. It was a whole year after that we finally got her diagnosis through the persistence of a dear friend who said, you have to come see a Lyme literate doctor. Most of the doctors really don't know how to test it or treat it. So we had to go to somebody who actually specialized in that. And you guys, in that 1 year though, just by trying the activators, she was able to go back to college. She was again functional. I'm not going to say she was at the top of her game. She had to work super, super hard, but she was functional. She was back in college and she was crushing it. So she graduated with her with honors with her undergrad, went on and did a 1 year master's where she actually wrote a play on Lyme disease advocacy. And it is out there on the internet. And she's quite an advocate right now in the Lyme community. I'm super proud of her. She did go on to do a Spartan race. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned that I also, when she tested positive for Lyme, I did too. So I know it from both sides. I've treated for Lyme, and I can tell you that it's quite a journey. So my heart goes out to anybody out there who has had to do that. And I'm over 60. I'm grateful. My daughter's health is coming back, and she's kind of crushing it right now. So
I love it, Gail. And I love that you mentioned this because I feel like it is a problem that we hear so much in the Lyme community is people aren't getting answers. There's so many multi-layers and facets of Lyme. We're going to cover a little bit of mycotoxin illness and mold toxicity. We know that plays a role, as well as some of the other underlying issues that arise with Lyme. And then you guys stick around to the end because we're going to talk about the solution base that kind of the protocol that Patricia was on. So don't miss out on this. We'll get to that. I know we've had a couple of questions in the chat. So Gail, let's move to the next slide and let's dive in. We're going to give a little bit of education overall as to what Lyme is. And I know that this is something that I actually suggest people get tested for, especially if they're dealing with a chronic illness that just seems mysterious, right? They can't come up. There's no answers out there. Their doctors telling them it's in their head. I know that there's several issues that kind of take this role, such as fibromyalgia and other things, but Lyme disease is actually, I think, much more prevalent than we think. So Gail, let's dive into what is Lyme. Like we can just cover this quickly, but
super quick. If you just look at that poor guy on the left side of the screen, it's like his entire body is being affected. A lot of times it's going to be like flu-like symptoms, but it can certainly affect the heart and your gut, basically any organ in your body because of the intense inflammation. Not to mention what some of the Lyme Lyme and its co-infections can actually start eating away at your cells. It's really kind of disgusting when you see it under a microscope, but it can morph between 3 different kinds of Lyme. And depending on how you treat it, you may or may not prompt it to morph into the other types of Lyme. And it's just kind of one of those things that is underfunded, under-researched, and you really need to dive into it with a Lyme literate doctor. There are several resources out there. If anybody ever wants those, please do reach out. I'm happy to share them with you. But it is the fastest growing vector-borne illness in the US, and we all kind of need to pay attention to that, especially with our kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that when we talk about testing, I know that it's very imperative to get with a doctor that understands, because it's multifaceted, like we said, in so many different ways. And it needs to be treated differently. So with different people, and so we all have genetic predispositions to what that is. But what I want to kind of point out that you said, Gail, is inflammation being at the root. And we know that inflammation is really oxidative stress. It's something that's happening from the inside out at a cellular level. And we're going to cover why our activation activators are so powerful and helping that, cellular inflammation process. So let's move to the next slide.
Yeah, just real quickly, I want to mention that a lot of times when you hear about Lyme, people don't know, well, how do you catch Lyme? It's usually through a tick bite. Some doctors think that it could actually be any insect bite, but basically any transfer of blood, bodily fluids is possibly suspect. And it's not just one type of tick that can transmit it. There are several types of ticks. It's just that the research is not out there proving exactly which ticks carry which pathogens. So just be aware of basically any tick and protect yourself when you're outside.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Gail. I feel like because it's so understudied and really not recognized, I think, as a whole with insurance companies. And this is the problem that a lot of people run into, is they're trying to find answers, get treatment solutions, because it's not really recognized as a illness, chronic illness, infection. It really is kind of like people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know that you guys did with Patricia, so it can be very frustrating. And people need to take control of their own health in regards to this. So awesome. Next slide. Let's get into the next slide. And I love what you said about prevention, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we just did. I think you kind of went over this, Jenny, where it is known as the great imitator. That's actually kind of the name of my daughter's play. And just, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, depression, dementia. There's all kinds of links to other diseases. So it's often misdiagnosed. The later signs of infection, if Jenny mentioned chronic infection, that's where you might start seeing the facial palsy, the severe headaches and neck stiffness like my daughter had. A lot of people complain about the arthritis. They may be diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis or something like that. Knee pain is huge, nerve issues, shooting pains. The fatigue is intense, you guys. I can't underline that enough. It is intense. Sleep schedules are completely disrupted, and mood, brain fog. I'm just telling you, it affects the entire body.
Yeah, and I like that you said gut there, which we'll talk a little bit about gut health. We know that our gut health is so important in regards to our immune system, and really getting to the root of, I always like to say that like underlying issues are what cause the symptom, right? So the problem with our traditional medical system today is that they're prescribing to mask the symptoms mostly, right? They're not looking at the body and saying, what is causing this? How can we reverse this? How can we fix this at a cellular level? And so this is why I think so many people are left without answers. I love that we're talking a little bit about mycotoxin. In fact, I want to do a whole Wellness Wednesday on mycotoxin, because I know that's also very multifaceted. But let's talk a little bit about black mold and mold mycotoxin illness and how this plays a role in regards to the connection with Lyme and really kind of the severity of what it can do.
Yeah, there is a huge connection. Almost everybody who has an impact from Lyme disease and to the point where they're seeing a doctor will benefit from testing for mycotoxin illness as well, because mold illness can actually shut down your healing pathways. It'll shut down your body's response to be able to produce its own antioxidants and such. So you'll want to just be aware of that connection. Mold can also be the trigger that weakens your immune system so that your body can't fight off the pathogens such as Lyme. So let's say you were going along just fine and your body was fighting Lyme and it might have been in there, but kind of at a low roar, you're fine, you're handling it, your body is being strong. And then all of a sudden you get hit with a mold. And by the way, it's not just black mold. It can be like this super tan colored, light colored mold that you can barely see. So it can hugely affect your body's response to any type of insult, including Lyme. So definitely something we should talk about in the future, Jenny. It's a subject in and of itself.
Absolutely. And I think environmental toxins is such, we're exposed to them every day. This is what I always try to tell my kids. They think, I can't even tell you, Gail. I mean, you probably feel this way with Patricia when she was going through her thing, but I'm like, we're not eating that. We're drinking this type of water. We're, not using these types of things in our home, these cleaners. And they're always like, Mom, you're so hardcore. And it's like, what they don't understand is that as we age, our body's ability to fight off these toxins in our environment, in our food, that diminishes, right? As our body's antioxidant enzymes are reduced, as our body is exposed to more of these environmental issues, we become, as we age, and able to really kind of be able to deal and detox properly from these toxins that we're exposed to every single day. So it's very important to be conscientious of your environment, of your diet, and all of those things. It's foundational, but it's also important. And that's why I became so passionate about our activators, is because when I was trying to find out how to help my son, I knew that the benefit of really kind of treating and supporting the body at a cellular level, right? Reducing that inflammation. And we're going to dive into why that's important. But our environment really does play a huge role. And so I love that you covered that.
Thank you. Just to real quick, I know some people in the chat were asking, well, what type of treatment? Both my daughter and I, like I said, we both had Lyme. We had the co-infections. We both had the mycotoxin illness. We were treated totally differently because our bodies responded differently to everything. Our symptoms were different, which meant that it was attacking our bodies in different ways. So I focused mostly on herbals. She had more pharmaceuticals going on. There's pros and cons to both. You need to work with a Lyme literate doctor to figure out what's right for you. But the big thing was the activation that we had supported our bodies through those treatments. I have had so many of our peers who are fighting the same infections we are, just struggle so much harder and so much longer, and not get as good a results at the end of the day as we did with the activators. And again, like Jenny said, it's not intended to cure, prevent, treat, mitigate disease, but when you give the body what it needs, then the body can do what it needs to do better. So we were able to handle our treatments way better than many of my friends. And I really do attribute that to the activation that we discovered through Jenny, basically, and Sandra. So, there's all kinds of things that we did. We changed our diets. We reduced all the toxins around us. We tried to sweat out the toxins with infrared sauna. We did IVs, we did all of it, but I'm telling you, the thing I am most grateful for is activation, for sure.
Absolutely. And like you said, your body's able to handle the treatments. I know that a lot of the time they put people on high dose antibiotics, which can cause a lot of cellular stress, a lot of inflammation. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle. So supporting the body at that cellular level. I also like that you noted that you notated here, Gail, glutathione boosters. And one of the products, our Protandim NRF2, which is the first activator our company came out with. We have 28 peer-reviewed studies on it. But it is proven to increase glutathione naturally by 300%. So instead of supplementation, we're talking about that's why we keep saying activators, activation. You're probably wondering, what are they talking about? Because it's really activating your body at a cellular level to go in and produce these antioxidant enzymes that should be really being produced naturally by the human body. But as we're exposed to environmental stress, inflammation, we're also looking at heavy metal toxicity. All of that attack on the liver and the kidneys and all of our internal organs prevent the production of our body to produce that glutathione. I said that funny. Prevents it from producing our natural production of glutathione. And our glutathione is our master antioxidant of the body. So the fact that Protandim NRF2 increases this by 300% is very, very powerful, among other things. But this is one of the things that stuck out to me here. So
Yeah, and it's actually way less expensive using the NRF2 activator because let me tell you, when you get a glutathione boost in an IV, it's not cheap. And it's also, and the naturopath who's administering it will even tell you, we hope that it gets in there. It's kind of temporary, but it'll help you today. You'll probably feel a little boost, and you need to come in regularly for these. They're expensive, you guys. So when you compare that to doing something like taking a protandim nerve 2 activator with a 300% increase in glutathione, I'll take that every day. You can also take glutathione liposomally, which does have some kind of effect, I'm told, as well. But again, it's expensive, and I would much rather just boost my own production.
And a lot of that is all about bioavailability, what your body is able to absorb. That's a whole other thing, especially if your gut health is not where it needs to be. That is one of the biggest issues with people having gut health issues. On top of everything, is their body's not able to absorb some of these, supplements in the tree and really kind of make them bioavailable to work. So, the secret is unveiled. We've been talking about activation. So I just want to make a disclaimer that we are going to cover, Gail and I talked about this earlier, but we are going to cover just kind of our primary product line that we want to expose you to. But I want to encourage you, especially if you're a guest, if you're hearing this information, get with the person that invited you to tonight's webinar. And just know that we have a website, and our entire activation line is amazing. We just didn't want to overwhelm you if this is the first time you're hearing this. So we chose our top products that we felt is foundational, especially when you're dealing with Lyme and all of the different co-infections and possibly everything else that goes along with it. So Gail, let's talk about the Vitality Stack. This is a product that I have my 2 boys and my husband and myself on every single day. It's very foundational. It does so much. I know that when you're treating Lyme, especially, the cost of just the supplements alone is outrageous. One of the top Lyme doctors in the world is actually a consultant, and one of the reasons that she chose to introduce this and share this with her patients is because she saw the ability to be able to save money for her patients and really get better results. So let's talk about the Vitality Stack very quickly. Let's talk about the benefits of why this is foundational. And even if you aren't dealing with Lyme or mycotoxin or any of the above, this is just foundational across the board because of our toxic environment. And so I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of cover what the Vitality Stack does.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jenny. So 4 things in the Vitality Stack. First of all, the protandim nerve 2, NRF2, which we already spoke about, that increases the glutathione production by 300%. It reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. It helps fight inflammation. And then, of course, there's also the protandim NRF1, which is the mitochondrial support. And that has everything to do not only with energy, it's called the powerhouse of the cell, if you remember your biology class, but also we're finding it has a lot to do with signaling inside of the body, of eradicating mutating cells. So I think that's super important. There's actually a huge link. I'll just point out here, there's a huge link in, I don't know if I should even say, can I say?
Hey, you know who you're talking to. I always say things I probably shouldn't, but I do.
Okay. There's actually, according to our first Lyme doctor, she said there's a huge link in chronic untreated Lyme in women with breast cancer occurring later on. And I think it's because it annihilates your immune system if you go untreated with Lyme. So that mitochondrial support, I think, is super, super important for so many reasons, that being just one of them. There's also in the Vitality Stack, there's a time-release probiotic. We were paying tons of money for these super expensive probiotics that had to be refrigerated and all the stuff. And this is so much less expensive. And yet with the time release, and it doesn't have to be refrigerated because of the coating on it, it hits the right place in your gut with the right probiotic at the right time. So you're not wasting all of that money with these high CFU probiotics, if any of you are used to purchasing those. It's a fantastic probiotic. I highly recommend it for everybody. And then, of course, it also includes the very high quality omega fish oils. And as a mom with a daughter who was going to college and having to eat in the cafeteria, my heart just broke every time she would tell me, Mom, I opened up my vitamins and in my supplements and my, this is before the Vitality Stack actually, And the fish oil that the doctor gave me, who she swore was the best on the market, had broken and it reeked. And everybody's looking around wondering, what is that awful smell? It was rancid. It was rancid fish oil. And we were paying top dollar for that. The top one on the market, according to the doctor. And I asked her, has anybody tested that fish oil to make sure that it's not high in mercury or anything? Because that's a thing. And she said, I have no idea. And I'm like, holy cow. You're giving this to all of your patients. We don't even know if it's being third party tested. And so what I found out with the LifeVantage products that we're talking about with activation, they are all third party tested to make sure that there's no contamination. And that's the same thing with these fish oils, is that the ones in the Vitality Stack here have been tested and retested. Fish are tested. I love these fish oils, and they don't have an awful taste or smell. Kids even pop them like candy if you let them. So keep them high.
I have to agree with that. I actually tried it because I'm like, I don't like the smell. It's, oxidation, oxidative stress. It's oxidation, right? It's what happens when you cut open the apple and it turns brown. Well, that happens with fish oil a lot when it's not harvested properly and produced properly and manufactured properly, is you get that oxidized problem, and your body's dealing with enough. So I absolutely agree with that. Let's talk a little bit about Axio. This is one of my favorite core products that it's great for kids, any age. Let's talk about why it's so different. I don't ever like to call it an energy drink. We like to call it a nootropic. I like to say it's our brain food. I tell my kids that's actually how I got them to start taking it. But it's sweetened by stevia, so there's no sugar. It's one of my favorites. And now that we have, of course, our pineapple, coconut, and watermelon mint flavor, it's so hard for me to choose every morning. But let's talk about how this supports the body at a cellular level, why it's so important for our brain. We know that Lyme affects a lot of people, neurological Lyme, and that's a whole other can of worms to dive into. But this is so supportive and with that brain fog and fatigue. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so Jenny, there was a day, if you would have asked me to do this presentation, I might not have remembered anything because my brain fog was so bad. And that's what happens with Lyme. And so as soon as Axio came out, I decided to try the decaf. And I was realizing that I was getting through the day better. Not only was I not as fatigued, but I was also more on point. I will talk about some of the ingredients in there. I was kind of afraid to take the caffeinated one because I'm super sensitive to caffeine. But what I found out is that they combined L-theanine with the caffeine and the caffeinated version, the regular version. And I call it like a slow burn. I don't get a spike and a crash. I can handle it. So if you're concerned about the regular with caffeine, give it a try anyway. I think you're going to like it. But it's actually one of those things where they've done brain mapping before and after, and you can see the activity in the brain. For some people, it's a calming. For some people, it's an energizing. It just depends on what your body needs. Definitely helps with memory, and there's a cumulative effect over time. The longer you take it, the more focused your brain is able to get in general. It's great for mood. I know a lot of people who actually do this as a pre-workout. It helps them, the athletes, focus. They swear by it. I don't know what else I can say about it, Jenny, except I'm very, very grateful.
Well, I agree with you. And the great thing is it's got all of the methylated B. It's got that methylated B complex that most people have to supplement separately with. So you're getting so many benefits with this one. Plus it tastes amazing. And I actually, most of the population is very mineral deficient. I put minerals in my water every single day, but sometimes it's just like you can taste. A lot of people don't like to do it because they can taste that mineral. So I like to add my minerals to my Axio, and it really helps me kind of get that down in the morning. I always drink it before workout. And it really is one of those things. And like we said, we're not here to treat, prevent, or cure, mitigate disease, but I noticed a huge difference in my younger one who had problems focusing at school. So really helping with reducing that brain fog. I like to say it's putting out the fire in the brain. And of course, our brain health is so important. And we've so many issues with neurological disease and all of that. This is such a great support. So one of my favorite products. Let's move into our activated collagen pro tandem combo. I know that we're all very excited for those of you that have been taking this product. We do know that they're is a patent pending, but we just as a company launched our very first study on these two products combined together. And Gail was kind of telling me a little bit this morning about a connection, a very, very good connection and support for Lyme and neurological issues. But also what we're finding is that this is supporting fibroblasts in our cells. So helping to fight that cytokine storm. I know, Gail, you mentioned that this morning. And maybe you can give everybody kind of an idea as to what the cytokine storm does in the body and really kind of the havoc that that wreaks. And then we'll talk a little bit about this combo as we're wrapping up the call tonight.
Absolutely. I could tell you what a cytokine storm feels like. I think, we can all look it up online to see what it really is, but I can tell you what it feels like. There were times when I would be sitting there and suddenly I would just slump over and my body just felt it like it was on fire, just tingling everywhere, neurological issues, flush feeling. And I just felt so weak and fatigued, like muscle, brain, everything. And it was hard. It's hard. It's a really big deal for anybody fighting chronic Lyme and mycotoxin illness. We hear about it a lot. So when I heard one of the doctors speaking about how it helps this combination between the Protandim Nerve 2 taken with our activated liquid collagen, that it helps bring balance to the body. You've heard about fight or flight. You've heard about that, chronic state of stress, and that they're finding through this recent study that it actually helps the body find that calm. And I'm super grateful about that. I did not expect that with this combination. I don't think that corporate did either, and neither did the scientists, but that's what they found when they studied it. The other thing I want to say about the activated liquid collagen, we all, we've heard about collagen. I've tried several collagens just because I thought it was a good protein source. But the more I learn about our collagen, I'm just super, super impressed. And I can tell you that my daughter, who did go with some super high-powered pharmaceuticals to attack the Lyme that she had, she was very concerned about her gut health. So when this product came out, she was ecstatic about what it could do for her gut health. And so she's very, very grateful for this product.
I think I would like to kind of just cover that as well, Gail, because I feel like so many people, what I didn't understand before, really getting educated on the benefits and really the importance of taking a liquid collagen. As we age, our collagen stops, I think by the time we're 30, our collagen production goes down by 50%. And so really supplementing with a high quality collagen is very important. And I didn't realize that all collagens are not created equal. In fact, a lot of collagen has heavy metals in it. Some of the most probably popular collagens out there have high amounts of heavy metals in them. They can be toxic. I love that our bottle, that our collagen comes in that dark glass bottle, because that also helps with the product being oxidized as it goes from manufacturing, from, obviously the manufacturing plant to your home. So you're really knowing that you're getting a high quality collagen. But what I didn't understand is that collagen really makes up our brain, our organs, our tissues. And so our gut is really a big part of that. And so one of the biggest things that we've been seeing with this liquid collagen is really kind of the benefits in the gut. And I have a super good friend of mine who's had gut issues for, over 10 years. Tell me that for the first time, she's not gluten intolerant, which is crazy because she's been gluten intolerant for years. So it's really supporting the lining of your gut, doing so much more, brains, tissues, not just our bones and our muscles and our joints, which are of course important. And what I love about our collagen is that there are over 10 types of collagen peptides, and that it's absorbing into the lower intestine, right? I've kind of covered bioavailability, absorption rate. Your body's able to if your body is able to really utilize what you're taking, right? It's kind of like why you hear that saying, well, you're just paying for expensive urine. I said it over P. I like to say, but anyway, so, it really is important to take a high quality, and these two really combined together are such a powerful duo. One thing that I will mention is that the Vitality Stack does include the Protandim NRF2. So if you're considering starting on these products, if you're taking the Vitality Stack, you don't need to purchase the additional bundle with the Protandim. The Protandim NRF2 comes in the Vitality Stack. So it would be the liquid collagen combined with the Vitality Stack. and then of course the Axios. So just a powerful combination. Is there anything else you can think of, Gail, in regards to the products that we've covered that you may feel is important in regards to
I
Lyme?
think thank you, Jenny. I think it's important to realize that there's always good, better, and best. Obviously, we're showing you 3 sets of products here that we think are like the top products. But I want to go back to just by taking that Protandim Nerf 2, we were seeing a difference. And these other products weren't even available yet. So every time that LifeVantage added another one of these products to the product line, we saw huge boosts in our health and wellness. So we were like just so excited every time they would come out with another product, because like, oh, here we go. We were actually praying for a fish oil. Weird, I know. So there's good, better, and best. And when you're being treated for Lyme disease or many of these other chronic illnesses, you're probably already shelling out a ton of money. What I found was that we could eliminate some of those because they had us taking a boatload of turmeric, right? Well, the way these, excuse me, the activators work is by subtherapeutic dosing in a specific synergy that makes it so much more powerful than if you were taking that boatload of turmeric, for example. So, so many times more effective than if you take supplementation. And that is the biggest difference. Supplementation is pushing something into your body, hoping it will get in there and make a difference. Activation that we have here at LifeVantage is basically flipping those switches back on in your body so that it can do what it's designed to do better without pushing too much other stuff into the body that it doesn't need. So I hope that helps.
You gave some incredible information tonight. I hope that you guys found value. In fact, I know you did. And really just get with the person that invited you, let them know that you would like more information. We're here to support. I love our community of people. So many, some of my closest friends, and, really my wellness journey, I've been with the company now 11 years, and I've been able to help so many people in my life on their health journey. Our community is incredible. We're just so blessed and grateful that you took, the time to be with us. We host these every Wednesday, and we have covered every topic that you can imagine. And this is really why I'm so passionate about these, because I feel people need answers for their health, and we're here to support you. Joining our community, and the person that invited you, please thank them and let them know, where you stand if you'd like more information. And Gail, would you like to leave us with anything as we wrap up this presentation tonight?
I think that's it. Just thank you for Wellness Wednesdays. Thank you for LifeVantage. Thank you for activation. I am eternally grateful. Thank you.
I love it. Well, thank you. And thank you for being with us this evening. Blessings to you all. I hope you have a blessed week. Take care.